All right, let me get us recorded here. Trey left the air conditioning on in this room, and then he left the room. So I'm just going to be enjoying this cool experience. But it feels good for now. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being on our division meeting. Whether this is your first meeting, whether you have been whether you're a seasoned veteran at events and you've heard me give a lot of welcomes and introductions in the past. I want to thank you for being on our division meeting, and thank you for being here tonight. You know, you don't get paid directly for being at meetings, but the more you learn, the more you earn, and the more you invest into yourself, the bigger your opportunity gets. I learned really quickly and early on in my Cutco career, and thanks to Cutco, that I should always bet on myself. And I was always my own, best asset and my best value. And the more I put into myself, the more I invested into learning, reading, growing, spending time with the right mentors, and having the right philosophies and work ethic around me. I would just seep that up and become a culmination of all those skills and all those values. So Cutco and being around the Cutco environment was really important to me. And that's why team meetings and conferences and push weeks and events, people who consistently go to those events and consistently show up, typically consistently also have the best and most profitable experience here. So I've never seen somebody who didn't go, invest in themselves, whether it's meetings, events, or audio files that was here long term. So I just want to say thank you for putting in that time. I'm looking forward to our agenda tonight. Let me show off who we've got lined up to share, and we'll be as efficient as possible. We're scheduled from 5:30 to 7:30, but I don't take your time lightly. We're going to make sure our talks are powerful and to the point. I'm going to start with some recognition and share who's been selling some knives lately. Then we're going to jump into a message from Amy Beasley, our pilot sales manager, who's going to be giving some expert tips on time management for busy people. If you've met her before, you know she has a lot on her plate, a lot of things that she juggles, and she does it with a smile on her face and with a lot of grace. So she's going to teach you how to get a lot done in your week and not feel stressed about it. Then we've got Trey McCullough, our district manager from Colorado Springs, who's also our DJ. He doubles as a district manager. But Trey's going to give some really powerful skills on dropping down, increasing your average order, increasing your closing percentage, right? As sales reps, those two things, closing percentage and average order, that creates our sales power, I should say. And so Trey's going to teach you how to increase both of those things by dropping down the right way and working with customers in a really intentional way. Then we'll have a phone jam, probably 30 minutes or so, that we'll set the timer and see how many demos we can get lined up as a team, and do some raffles and some prizes and some recognition. And when you're in the environment and there's good Cutco karma, and people are picking up their phone, it tends to catch on like a yawn, and everybody starts getting demos lined up. So excited for that division phone jam. And then we've got Tristan Moyers, our district manager from Northwest Denver, going to be teaching us about building our business through referrals, teaching some nuances, but also some really tried and true fundamentals that pretty much guarantee that we average anywhere between 5 and 10 referrals per customer. And he's going to be teaching you some things that can put you over the edge and average 10 or more. So then I'll do a quick little wrap up, basically just say goodnight and drive safe, and we'll be off to our evenings. Again, I hope that the value you get from this meeting, I hope that spending this time really creates a lot of value for you. And whether that's emotional stimulation, mental stimulation, business skills, practical knowledge that you can implement into your presentations, I hope this makes an impact. So again, thanks for being here. Let me do a little bit of recognition and share who's been selling some knives in our division for the campaign so far. These are, if you can, I think my screen is good to be sharing. Can I get a thumbs up that everybody can see? Perfect. We're starting at the bottom. I want to share reps in our division who, and this is really just our 3 offices that you see here that are over $2,500 in sales for the campaign. We're starting in the yellow column going up. We've got Zach Taichi from the Boulder office, over 2,500. Amala Coelho from the South Denver office, over 2,500. Jason Rand from South Denver. We've got Logan Cass from South Denver as well. Jacob Cochran from Colorado Springs, 3,253 for the spring campaign. Connor Fracassi from Boulder, 3,496. Saber O'Connor, I know Saber is might be tuning in right now. I think recuperating, but I think is also tuning in. But congrats, Saber, 3,579 for the campaign so far. Sophia Hardesti from Colorado Springs, 3,750. Nice work. We've got Mike White on the call as well, 3,808, and he's been recovering from a surgery. He's a full-time student. He's been juggling assistant manager work and leading by sales even through all of those things. So nice job, Mike. 3,808. Let's give Mike one clap. 1, 2, 3. Nice. We got Amy Beasley just ahead of Mike White for the campaign, 3,820. It's $12 ahead. This is going to be a fierce competition the next couple of weeks. But Amy, 3,820 for the campaign. That puts her at $98,000 in career sales, less than $2,000 away from her 100K milestone. Let's give Amy one clap. 1, 2, 3. We got Hazel from South Denver at 3,918 for the spring campaign. That puts her over 15,000. That's halfway to 30K. Not bad. Nice job, Hazel. Hunter Sparling from South Denver, $4,088. Just started this campaign, full-time student. Excellent work, Hunter. 1, 2, 3. We got Seth Beatty from Northwest Denver, 4,109. Nice job, Seth. We've got Travis Newell from South Denver, 4,229, over $70,000. He's a former FSM from about 20 years ago. FSM means field sales manager at the 50% level. And Travis started selling Cutco back when I did in the early 2000s. And every time he's got family and friends that need Cutco, he writes up orders. He's at 50%, so he just gets to make that commission each time. And he's done that for the last 20 years, just selling Cutco on the side of his various professions. We've got Rory Anderson from Northwest Denver at 4,624, all in this campaign. Nice job, Rory. 1, 2, 3. We've got Kyle Clan. Kyle on Kyle's on the call with us. 4,720. That puts Kyle at $17,222 in sales. Let me see, make sure I got on my screen. I've got Kyle on, right? Thought I saw him before. Now my screens are all hidden. Did I see?
Yeah, I'm on.
There we go. And Kyle was just also in Mexico for our payoff trip. Is that right?
Yeah.
Kyle, what was the highlight of going to Mexico? You sold $10,000 for a push week, and it was a special one because, or for your fast start, and it was a special one that got you qualified for this Mexico trip. What was it like traveling with the Southwest region to Mexico?
No, it was a lot of fun for sure. Yeah, definitely worth it.
He's not telling any stories. That's what he's saying. He's saying what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico. Well,
Yeah.
Congrats, Kyle. That's pretty amazing getting to travel for work. But and nice job on this campaign so far as well. So it didn't just rest on that 10K push. He's almost at $5,000 for this campaign. So excellent work. We've got Peyton Jewett from the South Denver office, 5,398. Excellent job, Peyton. Most of that just in his fast start in the last couple weeks. We've got Ryan Vincetti from South Denver, 7,075. This puts him at 141 in his career. Nice job, Ryan. We've got Jason Lowy from Boulder, sold over 11,000, all in his fast start. We got Grant Henry, also from Boulder, studying abroad right now. He's at $12,000 in sales. He had a 10K fast start, and now he's studying abroad, and he plans to come back and pick up where he left off when he is back from his semester. We've got Tanya Starkle, $21,000 for the campaign. She's over $6 million in career sales. Not a bad milestone in Cutco. Corey Schott from South Denver, 21,000 in sales for the spring campaign as well. He's at 50%, so not bad earnings. Heather Korinek, $26,000 in sales. Everybody from this point forward are 50%ers, so you can cut that in half, and that's their take-home income for the spring campaign so far, which is January, February, March, and this first couple days of April so far. Nicholas Beckman, who's on the call, I think, Nick, this puts you in that top 10, if I'm counting correctly, maybe number 10 or 11 there, if my eyes serve me right, but $30,000 in sales for the campaign. He's earned 15 grand so far. Not bad for as he's building his Cutco professional career. He's only 2 years into this, and he's making some serious headway and putting up some big numbers. He's at $191,000 in career sales. Can't wait to see what you're going to do this summer. Can't wait to see what your branch office is going to do as well, with you leading the way. Nice job, Nick. 2 claps for Nick. 1, 2, 3. We've got Will Heffernan from South Denver, $49,000 in sales. He makes 50%, just recently hit his $2 million milestone. Joe Rodriguez, $53,000 in sales. Michael Athens, $59,000. Alex Chavez, $62,000. Not too bad, making $30,000 in income in 3 months and a week. 10 grand a month income is not too bad. That's what most of our career Cutco sales professionals, our career-focused reps, have an opportunity for that 6 figures. It's not an overnight process. It's not easy. It takes hard work, just like anything that's worth it, but it is worth it. And you can see some of the numbers that we have in our division. We have the systems, we have the programs, we have the support. If anybody is interested in a career in sales and taking this to the next level, what it takes is proving yourself as a rep, consistency in attitude, consistency in effort, and consistency in sales. Those are the 3 things that we look for. I think anybody would say that in any business, right? Or any sales profession. So consistency in attitude, consistency in effort, consistency in sales. You don't have to be the top rep every week, but showing up and really putting on your best effort. That's really the key to proving yourself in these in those leadership areas. So we've got Braden Campbell, $65,000 in sales for the campaign. Joe Nacomo, $77,000. He just had he and his wife just had a baby a few months ago as well. So this is all while going through new parenthood juggles. We've got Robert Danbury, over $100,000 in sales for the campaign. He's made over $50,000 in income just in 3 months. Charlie Boyd, $110,000 in sales. Blake Fox, $148,000. You can see how much volume they've done in their careers. Curtis JQ is the #1 rep in Cutco history, is as far as residential sales, I should say, outside of big corporate sales. Curtis has sold more at the kitchen table and to Mr. and Mrs. Jones than anybody else in Cutco. Almost $500,000 in sales this campaign so far. He's over $10 million in his career. Not a bad person to have on our team, not a bad mentor to have right around the corner. So for anybody that's looking to do this in a big way for a long time, you've got great people to look up to and learn from that have been doing this for a long time in this territory. So really excited about that. Congrats to everybody that's over 2,500 for the campaign. Pretty impressed with Rocky Mountain Division so far. And you see all the silver cups behind me. It's just a product of great people. Right. Our division is made up of individual successes, right? Whether it's brand new reps getting off to a great start, whether it's somebody elevating themselves through the commission levels to the 50% levels and joining our fair and show team, whether it's somebody looking to make a splash and make an impact as a manager, and somebody like Mike White, who is going to be, one of the more impactful sales managers in the company this summer and really help, Amy in her pilot manager position get our office back to our #1 status. So, it takes individual effort and individual achievement to create great things on a team level. So, what Mike Hall and what Nick Beckman are going to do with their offices and how they're going to influence the future of Rocky Mountain Division, it's powerful, the ripple effects that each person can have. So what I'm asking for, regardless if you want to or not, is I'm asking you to lead. I'm asking you to lead with work ethic, with attitude, with perseverance, with everything you've got, because this really can make a big difference for you in your life. And the byproduct of that is it helps everybody around you too. So thank you in advance for working so hard this spring, finishing out April with a strong effort. And May is right around the corner. May is our summer campaign. It's 4 months long from May until August. And it's our opportunity to really see what we're made of. For those of you who are in school, this is the biggest and best opportunity to book as many appointments and make as big of paychecks as you possibly can and get up to those high commission levels before school starts back up in the fall. For everybody else, it's proving yourself to yourself and then potentially proving yourself to others and your managers and the Cutco sales professionals to potentially join those full-time ranks and join our fair and show team. All right. I want to let me come up for air here. A couple more people popped on while I was looking at my recognition. Welcome, welcome, Bridget. Congrats on your sales and promotion. Michelle, likewise. Good to see you. Vanessa, hello, hello. We've got Derek. What's up, Derek? Tristan, Jalen. Thanks, guys, for joining. All right, Amala, hello, hello. Oh, we recognize you. $3,000 in sales for the campaign so far. Not bad, just in a couple of weeks. All right. Well, I am. Let's see, what else do I want to recognize? We've got a couple things, but I think I'm just gonna skip ahead to the important stuff here. I want to share a message on goals. And yesterday I had a PC with Austin Beasley, who is on our call tonight. And I've given messages for the last 20 years on goals and vision, and so sometimes it could get repetitive, and sometimes I talk about the same things, and it's always fun when you can reinvent it a little bit and have a new way of packaging a really important message. And to me, knowing what we're going after, knowing what's important in our professional lives, our personal lives, our financial lives, and knowing why we're waking up in the morning every day, again, personally and professionally, is really crucial, right? We're all just made of stuff. We're all just made of chemicals and juices and meats and bones, right? And so all that put together, it is, we're just a bunch of feelings. And when we have something that we're going after, when we're inspired, when we're excited about something in our future, or at least we have a goal or an objective, subconsciously and consciously, everything that we do, say, think about, puts us in direction of those goals. So I want to share just a couple thoughts, and if you have a notebook close by, or at a minimum, if you have just your notepad on your phone and you can take some notes. I like to do this activity on my phone with goals, because then I can always go back to it. And if I'm sitting, either it's stuck in standstill traffic, and I'm not going anywhere for a while and turning my engine off, or if I'm in between meetings or events or demos, or have that extra bit of time, it's always good to go back to your goals and just see how you're doing, and if you're on track. So I'm going to give some thoughts and ideas and kind of philosophies on how I think about goals. And it might not align with how you think about goals. Bridget and Nathan might say, well, I've been making goals for a while, and I think I'm pretty good at it, so I don't but no, I'm just kidding. But if you have your systems that work for you, keep it. Don't feel like I have all the answers. I have a lot of ideas, not necessarily all the answers. But if I do say something that resonates, and there's one golden nugget or something that you can take away from this message, that's a positive. If you've never planned your goals before, and you're like, I don't even know where to start, tell me everything, I'll accept all of it, then that's fine too. So wherever you are in the spectrum, I hope this is valuable. I think it's important to understand, and whether you are religious, spiritual, or just a human, I think it's important to know that the timing is always right, and this time is right for you. And whatever put you in this meeting, whatever put you in this position to be selling Cutco at this time, is the right timing. Sometimes I have reps to say, well, I want to do this in my future, and I want to do this in my life. Well, what if the reason why you're here is because learning that work ethic, learning that positive to a fault attitude, learning perseverance, learning how to take the word no, what if that's the key that you need to learn in order to make that eventual future thing as spectacular as it's going to be, right? And I had a conversation with one of our Cutco sales professionals who dreams of being a $1 million a year earner at some point in his career. And I said, okay, well, that's the future you, but we've got to learn those lessons, and you've got to, pay those dues to get there. So don't feel bad that you're not there already. Let's just start making progress towards that. So I guess the point is, whether you're on track for all of the things that you want in your life, business-wise, professionally, or personally, just know that you're in the right spot and you're in the right position, and that's at all times. with the weather warming up and the sun coming out, even today felt a little bit more like spring than it has the past few weeks. And I know we're supposed to get some really good sun and some 70-degree, plus weather in Denver the next few days. So you might look at this spring as kind of a new beginning and a new opportunity to take a fresh look at what's important to you in your life and what's important in your business. I would jot down, if you're taking notes, just the phrase "one life." Sometimes we try to separate our business goals and our professional goals, and we try to have work-life balance, and we try to say, oh, well, am I spending enough time with my family? Am I spending enough time with my my kids? Am I spending enough time with my hobbies? Am I going to the gym enough? Am I sleeping enough? Am I spending enough alone time? And we talk about balance, but the reality is our life is our life. I'm Drew, and I sell knives, and I go to the gym, and I sleep too, right? So our life is our life, and you can't separate who you are and the choices you make, and your work is part of your life. And it doesn't mean that defines who you are permanently, but right now that's a really important part. For those of you who are in school, being a student is a really important part too. So just knowing that, the things that you do in your life, as long as you're getting value out of those things, and your everything inside feels good about being there, then that's a good use of your time. So there's not really any thing, balance is kind of a myth. Balance is more of an emotion, and it's a feeling. And if you feel energetically fulfilled with the things that you're doing, that's balance, right? There's no such thing as time balance, because as you may have heard, time is kind of, made up, right? It's just, mile markers to make sure that people can meet each other at certain places. But time is really a made up thing. And so if you you guys get the idea. But that one life, and realizing that you can work as much as you want, and if it takes grinding for the next 3 or 4 months because you say, hey, it's summertime, I need to make enough money this summer to pay my way for the whole year of school, then that's a good choice. And it's okay to be a little bit off balance as far as the pie chart of things that you do for a while, right? And starting a new business, right? Nathan might say, well, I'm willing to work X number of hours per day, X number of days per week. I'm not going to do that forever, but for the next couple of months, to get on that where I'm putting up those numbers as those folks on the CSP team, absolutely, it's worth it. Would he say that he's going to commit to that for the next 5 years? No, that's crazy, right? But when you're going after a goal and something's important to you, the time doesn't really matter, right? It's about getting value and getting impact from the things that you are doing and how you are spending your time. Everybody following? Is this a little bit helpful? Okay, good. Those versions, each version of yourself makes up the full you, right? So the you that goes to the gym, right? That's part of you that makes you, stronger in work. The part of you that hits your goals and you don't stop making phone calls until you book all your appointments. Well, that makes you stronger at the gym when you give up that, right? So everything influences each other. School, work, family, relationships, our relationship with ourselves. And I think the last thing before I jump into specific goals and kind of planning out what the next couple of weeks looks like and the next couple of months looks like is, for those of you who've heard me say this before, we are our own boss and employee at the same time. As an entrepreneur, as a 1099, you're the boss, but you're also the employee. So how good of a boss are you and employee are you? If you say, I got to make my phone calls, and your employee side says, I'm tired, I don't want to, well, that's not going to work out. You're probably not we got to work on our relationship with boss and employee. If you say, I got to make phone calls, and you say, I'm already on it, you didn't even have to ask me, I'm already picking up the phone, right? That's the relationship you want with yourself, where you can give yourself an action step and immediately jump to it. So just knowing that you're the boss and the employee at the same time, those excuses, you're giving yourself those excuses, and you realize real quick, excuses don't work when you're a 1099, right? You're like, oh, I'm tired. Well, who's going to listen to that? I've got saying that in the mirror, right? Or, oh, I already made enough phone calls, or, oh, my customers, nobody's answering, right? Yeah, nobody's answering. Every Mrs. Jones in the whole planet, everybody's at church tonight, right? So it's like, all the things that I used to say to myself was just the same fun things that I hear from reps, the same excuses. And once I realized that nobody's listening to the excuses, then I became way more powerful rep, because I realized that there's only one solution. That's just keep on working until I hit my goal, and don't give up until, I fill my schedule. And so anyway, I think that mentality helped a lot. I want you to jot down, and I may share my screen because I think this might help to give a little bit of a visual. So I'm just going to share my notes from my message, and maybe don't skip ahead too much. So I want to just share a couple things about the way that I process how to create a goal, and I think these are just a couple important concepts that I hope you can take a little bit to heart. Every accomplishment and goal that you have has to have a very tangible support system. That support system is a why, a timeline, a habit, and a first action. So, for example, I met with somebody recently and they said, I want to quit smoking. And I said, okay, well, quitting smoking isn't going to happen unless your why is strong enough and big enough to either scare you into it or to motivate you into it. So every goal and everything that we want to accomplish, the why has to be strong enough and big enough. Now, so if I say, hey, Tristan, if Tristan says my goal is to, go to the gym, every day for the next month, and I say why, and he's like, I don't know, because I thought it was a good goal. You think he's going to ever make it 30 days in a row to the gym? Absolutely not. But if he says, well, a month from now, I got a vacation, I'm going to the beach, and I need to look a little bit better than I do right now. He looks incredible, by the way. But if he says, I need to look a little bit better than I do right now, then that's a big enough why. Whether it's a motivation of looking good or fear of looking bad, that's a big enough why. Do you guys all feel me on that? So every goal, we have to have our goal backed up with a big enough why that's going to either motivate us by enthusiasm and excitement, or push us into it because of fear. Now, it also has to have a timeline, because you have to be tangible and you have to give yourself a deadline, because we're the boss and the employee at the same time. So if Tristan says, I want to go, to the gym every day this month, if he doesn't, abide by that, he's going to say, I'll do that next month. I'll do that in the month after, right? So giving yourself a timeline is important. The other thing is having a habit. To me, if I don't have a habit that backs up the goal, something that's consistent, either daily, weekly, monthly, or whatever schedule, it's got to be consistent. It's got to be something that's repetitive, because it has to support the goal. So what's a habit that I can create that is going to help me hit that goal? So if my goal is to, look a certain way, if my goal is to hit a certain, sales goal, to learn a certain, hobby or professional skill, it's got to have a habit, something that I can do consistently. That habit could be putting time in my schedule. So for example, Austin wants to learn a specific skill. I said, well, could the habit be, I'm going to practice that skill for 2 hours every single week, no matter what, without fail. And as long as my why I want to practice that skill and that habit of practicing for 2 hours every week, as long as that why is big enough and that habit is doable, then that goal can happen. You guys feel me on that? So every goal, everything we want to do has to have a strong enough why, and it has to have a specific habit for that goal. If we have goals without habits behind them, then all we're going to have are these pipe dream, wishes that are never going to happen. We're going to feel even worse about ourselves, because we're setting ourselves up for failure by not having a roadmap and a game plan. And then the final part is having a first action. So I want to put this in my schedule. For me, I'm nuts with planning. I learned from Matco early on how to put everything in my schedule, every single second of every single day, everything from personal, professional, financial, people I need to call, doing my laundry, everything that I have in my life is on my schedule. So when I have an idea, if it sits in my head, I'm going to go crazy. It's like ping pong balls going off in there, and it's just like the lottery. It's like that thing is just, I cannot keep information straight in my head. So for me, if I put it down on paper, it doesn't overwhelm me, and it doesn't make me go crazy. So any idea that I have, any action that I have, I'm going to put in my schedule. So if I know that on Saturday I'm going to go to the gym for the first time, I've got my in my schedule, then that's going to start that habit. the habit's going to be consistent, and it's going to help me hit that goal. So I hope this is helpful to understand just the way that I kind of look at goals in my mind. I can't just say, well, I want to sell 10,000 this campaign, or I want to sell an ultimate set. So if if I'm looking at this again, why, goal, habit, timeline, and first action, I can say, well, if I want to sell my first ultimate set, before the end of April, well, what's my why? Well, maybe my why is I want to be able to sell an ultimate set. That way, when I go to these meetings and some of these top reps, are giving messages, I can relate and I can understand the feeling of what it's like to write up a big order. That way I can take the next step in my career. That is important to me professionally. Okay. So that's my why. I've got a big enough why. I want to have respect on my name. Right. So so that's my why. My goal is sell an ultimate set. My habit is I've got to learn. Right. So for me, if I don't necessarily know what it takes, I'm going to put time in my schedule, and I'm going to put a first action of something that's going to put me in momentum or in direction of learning that. So maybe it's listen to an audio file on Vector Connect on ultimate sets. Maybe it's listen or read a book on confidence in sales and asking for the order. Maybe it's going on a field training with somebody like Mike White, who sold ultimate sets before, and he can give some tips and some confidence to be like, oh yeah, just read the script and smile. And sometimes they buy, and you're like, that's it. All right. So, going on a field training can help. And so that's a habit. So putting in, maybe it's 30 minutes per week, I'm working on ultimate skills. Now, if I can have a dedicated time, that makes a really big difference. So, all right, I'm going to share a couple last keys, and then I'm going to give you a couple minutes, and we're just going to take some time. We're going to brainstorm. I think one of the most powerful things that my mentors ever did with me was sit me down and slow me down and force me to write down goals and force me to plan. Right? Because I was always going so fast. I was always excited about the next step. And when I sat down and I took a look at my goals and I stepped, from a broader perspective, it was always really powerful. So let me share a little bit more. And again, these were just my notes that I for my message. So you feel free to take a screenshot if you want. I think about whys. So the driver in front of every goal has to be a why. I think about my long-term vision. I think about what I want my life to look like 20 years from now. I think about the important things for me, which is time, health, taking care of my body, spending time with quality people, social interactions, right? So there's a lot of things that are important to me, and knowing what's important and knowing my big motivations of what I'm creating, really creates motivation for the everyday tasks. For me, when I was 18, I first sat down in a meeting like this, and my manager, said, what are your goals? I said, well, I want to be a millionaire by 30, and I want to be retired by 40. And every day in Cutco, everything that I did was to support those two goals. Now, sometimes it was making 1,000 phone calls in a week. Sometimes it was going to all-day meetings. Sometimes it was learning. Sometimes it was doing 7 demos in a day. And I knew that doing 7 demos in one day wasn't going to make me a millionaire, but the habits and the skills and the momentum I was building in my professional life, that's what was going to give me the momentum, right? It's not an overnight process. We're all just building blocks. All right, I've got a couple things on habits and down here, but I'm just gonna shut up for a second. I'm gonna come up for air. So what I'd like to do is just give a little bit of time for us to think about what some of our goals are for 2023, professionally and personally. Now, I said before, we only have one life, so we only have, it's all the same, but it is sometimes beneficial to separate the things that we want to do in our work life and the things that we want to do, outside of knives. So if you're taking notes on your phone, or if you're doing it in a notebook, what I would recommend is, starting a list and giving yourself, trying to follow this formula of here's my goal. And if you want to maybe write that down in the center of your page, and then before on the left side, what's preceding a goal is a why, and what comes after a goal to support it is a habit. So those are really the two big keys. So when you think about what is a goal that you have, either personally or professionally, and then on the front end, is the why big enough? And on the back end, is the habit consistent enough? And is the habit strong enough? So I'm going to invite anybody who wants to share, if you have something that popped in your head, either a personal goal or a professional goal, how this lands for you. And I'd love for anyone to share some thoughts and ideas. And I know on the page it said 10 commandments of your personal life, 10 commandments of your business life. That's just for me. I don't like to do maybes. I like to have guarantees. So if I give myself a commandment of, here are the 10 things I'm going to do in my personal life, here are the 10 things I'm going to do in my business life. And as long as all of them have a strong why, and as long as they all have a habit that I can put in my schedule, it's a pretty good recipe for hitting my goals. I hope this is valuable. I hope this is not confusing and lofty. And I hope we shouldn't have just said, hey, let's write down a couple goals and put them in our schedule, and hopefully we hit them. I hope this was more of an understanding and an approach. So any thoughts or feedback or examples? Mike, go for it.
Yeah, for me, it's ramping up for a big summer. So booking 100 PRs this summer, which is just a really big goal. Not exactly sure how many get there yet, but the why is really impacting people on a high level and really making this summer count, not only for me, but for everybody who's involved. And the habits right now, it's a lot of learning, a lot left to learn. And then when the summer starts to come around, it's going to be taking those daily times out to, call people and to actually get things going.
I love that. Love that, Mike. Thank you for sharing. And the why is strong enough, right? Impact on people, being a strong leader, right? And the habits and the consistency, making sure that you're on track, right? And that's just breaking down a big, a big, I guess, task and putting it in bite-sized chunks, whether that's daily or weekly. Love it. Who else wants to share? Saber has put a couple things in the box. A million thoughts and examples. Don't know how to share. Well, maybe text an example to A, and she can share on your behalf if you too. Anyone want to share a thought, or either a business goal or personal goal, something that's important to you that you can back up with a big enough why and create a habit or routine to make it happen?
So Saber says, I want out of my nightmare, tired of people telling me what to do. And I want shut up money and nice, comfortable suit to go with it. I want to be heard when I speak.
Saber, I think that's a pretty strong why. I think those are pretty powerful whys. So I support that, and the habit, whether it's daily phone calls or building up your list and staying on a consistent schedule. I think the why is strong enough to support those habits and make that goal happen. To have shut up money, I want to have shut up money too. We used to call that FU money back where I grew up. Anybody else want to share? Michael Hall.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a pretty lofty goal as a branch office going into the summer. And it's kind of overwhelming sometimes, but when you break it down, like the why and why we're doing everything, putting it down like little chunks, it's awesome. Like our why is it turned in from like this big like sales goal into just impacting as many people as we can. And I remember what this job has meant to me and how the opportunity was shared with me. And I just want to share with as many people as I can over the summer. And that's our biggest goal, is to share the wealth. And then breaking it down into the bite-sized chunks, it just seems so much more accomplishable when you break it down into smaller pieces and you see the route that can be taken. So I'm pumped. I'm excited.
Love that. It could be as simple as, I want to finish this book at a certain time. Our goal is to finish this book by the end of the summer. So how many pages book? It's a 500-page book. And so it's like, all right, I got to read like 3 pages a day, or I got to read, this many 20 pages a week. And that'll, I don't know if that math works out, but you get the idea. So even on something simple, it's, why do I want to read that book? Well, I want to have this knowledge, or I want to impress this person, or I just want to check off that box. But either way, as long as the why is strong enough and you've got the goals, that makes sense. And it's really, if if doing all these things, gives a strong possibility that that goal can hit, then you should feel good about that effort, regardless if the goal happens or not, because you're putting in the effort. Anybody else want to share it before we shift gears here? Anybody have something to pop up? Michelle, go for it.
Yes, my goal is to get my business with Cutco off the ground and also my shoe business off the ground. And then the why is so my 17, 18-year-old, 23-year-old kids can see that you can put your mind to it and complete it and get to where you want to go in life and not have to do the 9 to 5 or regular time schedule job.
I love that. That's such a good why. What's the habit?
Within Cutco, I need to stay on my phone calls.
Yeah.
I need to learn. And with the other one, I need to just complete the action and just complete. Because I start it and then I'm like, but I got this and I got that. And with kids and family and cooking and chores, and I just have to get on it. The time management is what I'm using Cutco to definitely help me with
I love that.
the other business. Yes.
Well, that's a perfect transition for our next message, because I was just going to say, having all those ideas and knowing how to do it, then it's just a game of Tetris. Where do I fit everything, in my plan? I would say, I think that I'm probably the busiest person that at least one in your top 5. Like, I doubt that more than 5 people who are busier than I am. This was an off week. So I really have learned so much from time management, and I give so much credit to this company, and I'm so grateful for the tools that I learned from Cutco from even my first summer. I've been doing this for over 20 years, but my first summer in 2003, just learning how to manage my time, learning how to value my time, learning how to put together the building blocks and the pieces, so I can maximize my efficiency, increase my capacity over and over, being that balloon that keeps on stretching and expanding. Cutco taught me how to manage myself. It taught me how to manage others, whether it was a customer base or a team, and it taught me how to manage systems. And whether it was managing my own sales system or managing a team system, when you can put those 3 things together, managing yourself, managing others, and managing systems, you can do anything. So whether it's a shoe business, a Cutco business, selling life insurance, running a retail shop, owning any other type of business, it's about those 3 things. So to me, Cutco is the job that keeps on giving, and the more you do it, the more it gives back. It really is a reflection in a mirror, and it pays 10x. So perfect segue. Somebody who is part of Grant Cardone, the real estate billionaire mogul, is Amy's part of his mentor program, which is 10x mentality. And what that means is, everything you do, put 10 times more effort and give yourself 10 times more time than you think it's going to need to hit that goal. That way you guarantee that it's going to happen no matter what. So Amy, our pilot sales manager for South Denver, somebody who I rely on so heavily for the day-to-day operations of this office, this team, and this division. If it weren't for her, the wheels would literally fall off. So Amy, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your confidence in what we're doing and what we're building, which is going after our 25th Silver Cup in Rocky Mountain Division. So Amy, with some life skills, by the way, outside of Cutco, she owns at any given time no fewer than 6 properties, all the way up to a dozen properties at a time that she's flipping, reselling, and using to build her life. So Cutco is her play money. It's her fun money. She's here because she loves the environment and the people, and she loves to teach. She's not here because this pays her bills, which is even more beautiful in my mind. So thank you, Amy. Let's give it away for Amy Beasley.
That didn't work.
Oh, I just did that. Sorry.
All right, can you guys all hear me now? Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen a little bit, but while I'm doing that, if you don't already have your planner out, whether that's a paper schedule that you do in Gmail, your Google Calendar, whether it is a handwritten one like I have here, like Drew has, whether it's something in an Excel spreadsheet, I don't care what it is, but whatever you use to plan your day with, I want you to go ahead and take that out and get ready, because we're going to have some fun here. I'm going to give away some prizes. But at the same time, I want you guys to really dig in and do this interactively. So feel free to unmute your phones if you have a quiet background, and be interactive, or jump in when you can. So, all right, let me, and I'm going to try and share this just a little bit at a time. So hopefully this works for me. So the first thing that I want to jump into and to talk about really is emotional integrity. And so emotional integrity is defined as personal achievement of emotional strengths, discipline, completeness that remains constant no matter what other people say or do. And I found this when I first started with Vector 26 plus years ago. This was my downfall, you guys. I was not honest with myself. I wasn't honest with the people around me. I was living a life that I thought was pretty sweet, but I wasn't being honest about where I was at in life and what was important to me. So that's the first thing that I want to ask you guys and challenge you to share is, where are you guys? Are you stuck? How many of us are stuck? Does anybody want to unmute, share a little bit about where you're at, and how many of us waste time, right? Whether that's intentional or unintentional. I'm curious to know kind of where you guys are at. What do you feel like? Are you honest with where you're currently at? And you guys might have to help me, because for some reason I can't see any people. Go ahead. Sabrina or Saber, whichever you want to be.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were talking to me or not.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, right now where I'm at is I'm hooked up to wires. Because I have seizures, so I have to be careful where I go or when I go or the times that I go. If something, messes me up too much, I don't feel like dropping down in the middle of a floor somewhere, while I'm doing a meeting or while I'm doing a presentation or anything. So a lot of times I feel like I'm failing because I'm not able to get myself to function the way I need to function. So now I'm running this test. That's why I'm not on screen, because I've got these wires. I look like the Borg combined with, Avatar, because I have a tail that is completely electronic. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to be here. That doesn't mean I'm not going to move forward. That doesn't mean that when this is all over, I'm not going to make a sale. And I've got it stuck in my mind that no matter what, nothing has value unless you place value on it. And Cutco for me is valuable. It is a way to get to where I need to be in the moment that I need to be at. And right now it just kind of sucks right now. And yeah, I feel like I'm failing, but I know that in the end, I'm going to be one of the best because I choose to be where my value is.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great example, Saber. Thank you for sharing. Of, not just being kind of stuck where you're at and not knowing necessarily what to do, avoiding things that you maybe should be doing. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this topic real quick. Because a lot of us get stuck in that place of overwhelm, and everything should be controlled. So if we're really owning our own schedule, we're owning our own time, that's the biggest key I can give you guys, is everything should be controlled. When you sleep, when you eat, when you spend time with your friends and family, keeping your calendar full, and I mean totally full. We all have the same 168 hours in our week. And so when you're not busy, you're not inspired, you're not motivated, that fear starts to creep in, that doubt starts to move in, you have too much time and you're wasting space in that white space because you're unmotivated during during that time. So you burn out more actually when you're not busy than what you do when you are busy. And so just want to share, and I can't see the screen, so I don't know, you guys can tell me, but this is literally what my planner looks like. You guys, it is filled from top to bottom, day to night. Every single minute of my day is planned. And so then that's my weekly, master plan. And then I move that into more. So if you're taking notes here, the first key, and I'm going to give you 5 keys to effective and efficient time management to get you out of that place of overwhelm, and so that you can have emotional integrity with your schedule and what you're doing. So the first key is to know your why. It's kind of funny that Drew just took like half my talk today. No, I'm joking.
I went over to, so that's good.
That's perfect. So know your why. If your why is not big enough, you will get stuck in your schedule. So you have to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Number 2 is to create that master calendar and use some time blocking. There are many, many ways out there to do that. You can color code it by using different activities. So you could put blue personal, red school, green for Cutco. That's what I personally do. I have blue as my personal. I have pink as my Cutco. I have orange as my real estate goals. I have green as my mortgage business. I have brown is all of my Grant Cardone stuff and time. And then I have a lighter color pink is my stuff with my son Aiden, and the darker color of blue is my stuff with my son Austin. So I color code my whole calendar so I know at any given time what I'm using. Now, but if colors don't work for you and that's not who you are, you could use symbols. You could use a $ for money or work. You could use a triangle for school. You can use a star for any of your personal activities that you have in your calendar. It doesn't matter what your system is, but you want to have a system so that anytime you look down, you know where you're going next. Number 3, the third key is to know the priority of your schedule. And so if you guys were on the team meeting last week for South Denver, you got a little bit of this information too, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on this. And so priorities, Drew used big rocks, pebbles, sand, and water. You guys, there are a million different ways that you can think about the priorities of your schedule. I love this. It's taken from Stephen Covey. But your big rocks are your must-do items. Those are the items that are the main priorities that feed your long-term goals. So when you were talking about your goals just a few minutes ago with Drew, and you wrote down your goals, and then he says you have to take that first action, right? What is that first step? What is that thing that you're going to do? What is the habit that you're going to feed into that goal and your why? And so that's where you start filling in your calendar. So if you guys have your calendar, go ahead and grab them out, start filling these in as I'm talking, because I'm going to challenge you guys all here in a minute as we go through. And behind Drew there's a few things from Grant Cardone. I get all kinds of goodies from him. So there's a water bottle, there's a ball cap that's 10X, there is a planner there too. So if you don't have a planner and you need one, I'm going to challenge you guys to fill out your planners and send them to me. And then for everybody who sends me their planner and can show me what their week looks like for the next 7 days, then you are going to get your name in a drawing to win one of those things. Or maybe I'll give her out all of them. I don't know yet. So get ready for that. So fill in your big rocks, your whys. This should be about 20% or more of your schedule. This would be things that you can't change, that you have to do. Things like school, classwork, team meetings, advanced trainings, your phone time. For some of you, it might be church, it might be medical appointments. So think about those big rocks, the things that you must do to keep things moving in your life. The next part of your priorities is those pebbles. This is probably the majority of what your schedule is. These are those day-to-day action items that really feed your short-term goals that help you reach your long-term goals. So these are going to be those critical items that don't have a specific time requirement, but they're really important to do. So this is things like filling in your family time, quality time with your family and friends, school, homework, study groups. Personal care, this is where your exercise, your spiritual time, all that kind of stuff goes into your calendar. For work, this would be where your demos and your PC with your manager goes into your calendar. It would also be where the things that you have to do, like for household care or food prep, cleaning, laundry, paying your bills, strategic financial planning, all of those kind of things that have to be done. They're still critical items, but they don't have a specific time, and they're not the huge items, right? That's where all those go in. And then your sand is those fillers. So these are all the minor tasks, not really important, but good for you. So that would be your personal development, your learning. And then the last part of filling that is the water. And this is what I'm going to challenge you guys to really cut out of your life. If you look at my calendar, and I'm happy to share it with anybody at any time, there is not much water in my calendar at all. These are the things that prevent you from getting work done. There are a lot of downtime, hanging out with friends and family that's non-quality time. I want to qualify that, because hanging with your family and friends is really important, but it needs to be scheduled and it needs to be quality time that you're spending with your family and friends. Things like TV and games, etc. You guys, Cutco taught me when I was 20 years old to get rid of my cable bill, and I have never paid for television in all of my adult life. And that is something that has not only saved me a ton of money, but it's also allowed me to fill my schedule with things that have made me very productive over time. The other thing, huge on your phones, you guys, our age of technology is great, but for a lot of us, we let our phones become the master of us instead of us being the master of our phones. And so games on your phone can be huge and a huge water filler that ends up taking over your schedule. And then you flip-flop it. Instead of your big rocks being 20%, your pebbles being 70%, your water becomes 80 to 90% of your schedule. So now I'm also going to challenge you guys a little bit here too, because I want you to think about that's the normal year, right? But then we have these push period things that we have in Vector, right? They're a little bit different for us all. So we're going to get ready to go into summer here. And so I really want you guys to think about this. The rest of the year, you kind of want to manage your schedule. And I don't ever say a balanced schedule, because I don't believe in a balanced schedule or a balanced life. I think you do the things that are important to you and that feed into your goals and your why, and then the rest of it falls away. So that's kind of my thought process on scheduling and goals. But during push weeks, everything outside of the critical items should be gone, right? Because we want to maximize those time periods during push weeks, or even during fast start. Some of you guys just came out of your fast start, and that's why we had you build your schedules that way during your fast start. So during fast start or push weeks, those big rocks, you have to fill those into your calendar first. But you want to limit it only to those actions that are actually mandatory. Things like school, maybe another job that you have to do, things that are mandatory in your life for you. Everything else in your calendar should be Vector during those push weeks. So it's team meetings, it's advanced trainings, and it's phone time. Those are your big rocks during push and fast start. The pebbles are those actions that you kind of fill in that don't have time, right? You still have to take care of yourself and make sure that you are taking care of yourself, but maybe you limit that a little bit more during a push period. So for Vector, the things that are your pebbles is demos, and more demos, right? So every 90 to 120 minutes in your calendar should be filled with those dollar signs or whatever your system is for a demo, and you fill those in around the team meeting, around the advanced trainings, around your phone time, so that you're maximizing. And then the fillers, the sand, you really cut those out during a push period. That's how you go all out for your push period. The rest of the year, make it a little bit more fluent. Make sure that you put all your family time back in, make sure that you put all your personal care back in, your strategic planning, that kind of thing. Okay. And I'm going to kind of skip through this. So here's your demos. So if you're part-time, 10 demos per week. I'm going to send you guys this document that I'm doing here. I'll post it in group me. I'll also send it to your managers if you're not part of the South Denver team, and they can get it to you in whichever way they communicate with you. If you're full-time, you should be shooting for 20 demos a week, right? So part-time 10, full-time 20. And then, so your number 4 key is really to take action. So work when you are most productive. If you're a college student and you sleep in till 10 o'clock in the morning, it does not make much sense to plan your first demo at 8 a.m., right? So you definitely want to make sure that you are planning to take action, take those first action steps at a time period when you are going to be the most productive. According to Grant Cardone, the number 1 reason that most people fail is because they underestimate what it will take to hit their targets and their goals. And so I'm going to really challenge you guys, if you want to be successful in Vector, if you want to be successful in life, if you want to take control and manage your schedule, your time, then you need to plan to take 10 times more action than what you think it's going to be required in order to hit your goal. So if Drew and I are telling you in training that you have to set 10 appointments, right, to hit your goals, then you should be in your head thinking, I need to do more than that, right? So if you want 1 sale, then maybe you need 10 appointments to ensure that you get 1 sale. Now, if you do 10 appointments, we can guarantee that you're going to do more than 1 sale, but that's the thought process. That's the idea. And then the last thing, the tip number 5 is accountability. You have to create a system for tracking your effectiveness, to know exactly what you're doing, how you're doing, and where your numbers are coming from. I hear all the time from reps that call in on the phone. They're like, my phone time is awful. I'm not getting any appointments set. And when I dig in and I ask them, well, okay, so how many calls did you make? The answer is 2 or 3, right? If you're only making 2 or 3 calls, your phone time's not terrible, it's ineffective, right? We have to make more calls. We have to be able to track our calls. So one of the things that I learned when I was a new rep that has always worked great for me for tracking phone time specifically is I would have my planner out, and you can see, I even do this today. I just do it in a different manner in my planner, but I track every single time I talk to somebody. I track every single time I dial a phone. I track every single email I send. I track every single text I send. So I know at the end of the day how many contacts I made, and out of those contacts, how many people I actually talked to, and out of those people I talked to, how many things did I set? Like what action items did I do? How many demos did I set? So I'm going to challenge you guys in your planners, when you're making your phone time, I want to start seeing you guys track how many calls you're actually making. So do that by putting a slash in your calendar when you actually dial the phone. So if you dial the phone, you just put the first part of an X, right? If they answer, you complete that X. So you put the second slash on that X. Once you set that demo, you just circle it. So you'll be able to tell at the end of every single phone time now, how many times you dialed the phone, how many people answered, and how many demos you set out of that. So that's where I want to do that. And then in your calendars yourself, to keep track of if you actually did the work that you said you were going to do and that you blocked into your calendar. If you did it, you put a check mark next to that item in your calendar. So if it was planned in my calendar and I did it, I put a check mark. If it was planned in my calendar and I didn't do it for some reason, I cross it out. Anything in your calendar that you've crossed out that was part of your master plan, you put it in your weekly plan and you didn't do it, and it's the 3rd week in a row that you didn't do it at that time, you need to reevaluate that item. If it's a critical, important item, you need to find a new time to do it, right? Or you can delegate that item too. Like maybe it's doing your laundry and you can pay your little brother to do your laundry. I don't know. So either find a new time to do it or delegate it if it's a critical item. If it's not a critical item and this is the 3rd week in a row that you've missed that item in your calendar, then you should be eliminating that from your calendar and from your life, because it's not really important and it's just wasting time in your calendar and making you look busier than what you really are. So that time can be repurposed to something else. Everybody with me so far? Thumbs up. Awesome. Okay. All right. Last bonus here, and then I'm going to give you guys, if there's time, if not, you're going to do this on your own. And then we're gonna, you can text it to me and we'll still give out some prizes here at the end. So bonus, when you're stuck, if you're stuck, go back up to that emotional integrity piece at the very top. If you're stuck and you don't know what to do, it's really simple. You just ask yourself, what is the one thing that I can do such that by doing everything else, or such by doing it, everything else will become easier and or unnecessary. And that comes from Gary Keller and his book, The One Thing. It's really, really important for you. So consider that for Cutco. If you are stuck and you don't know what to do in your plan and you don't have anything in your calendar, the first thing you should be doing is dialing the phone, picking up the phone and making some phone calls. That will get you unstuck from Cutco. And if you don't have people to call, then you need to be building your names list. That's the second key. So those two things are your one thing from Cutco that you can do to always keep yourself unstuck. All right, turning it back over to Drew.
Let's give Amy a round of applause. Thank you, Amy. That was really, really excellent stuff. I love learning and you know, getting knowledge from outside the Cutco sphere, and Grant Cardone and the 10X Factor is a great one. Thank you for that. Well, we're gonna roll right into our next message. If you need to stand up and take a stretch break while I'm introducing Trey, you can. We're going to take a little bit of a longer break after Trey's message before Tristan's. So if you need to use the restroom, fill up, you know, either do it now quick, or we'll have some time in a few minutes between our last message. So Trey McCullough, as I mentioned before, is our district manager in Colorado Springs, somebody who I have grown very fond of over the last few years because of his incredibly infectious, positive attitude, his great work ethic, and his desire to learn. He's always trying to work on his craft, always trying to get better and improve himself. So Trey's also a great time to hang out with. So if you have an opportunity at a conference or at a trip or an event, make sure you get some time with him. Trey sold a lot of Cutco his first campaign on the job. In his first couple of months, he sold $35,000 worth of Cutco. Not all of them were homemakers and signatures and ultimate sets. He had a pretty average order, which most of reps do. And Trey was just very consistent, and he sold to most of the people he sold to. So I asked Trey, can you give some tips on how to increase average closing percentage? How did you get 7 out of 10 people or 8 out of 10 people or whatever the number is? I know is well over half, but how did you get most people to buy from you? And how did you get such good consistency with your sales? And Trey always says it's really the skill of dropping down. So Trey, to teach dropping down skills and how to master increasing your average order and your closing percent, take it away. Let's give it up for Trey McCullough.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and get started, and let's go ahead and dive in. So if you guys want to go ahead and take out your guys' notes, I got a little slideshow for you guys. So what we're going to be talking about today is just dropping down and objections. So first things first, I want you guys to write down the definition of an objection. So what is an objection? An objection is a request for more information. So when your customer gives you an objection, they're just wanting more information about what they're concerned about. So example, let's say Michael Hall goes up to his mom and he says, "Mom, can I go hang out with Tristan tonight?" What's his mom going to say? "Where are you going? When are you leaving? When are you coming back? Who's going to be there? When are you coming home? Are their parents going to be home?" Right? What are those? Those are all objections of why Mike can't go hang out with Tristan. Is Mike going to be like, "Yeah, you're right, Mom," and just like walk away? No, right? He's going to give a response. He's going to handle the objection. He's going to say, "I'm leaving at this time. I'm coming home at this time. Tristan's mom's going to be there. We're going to play some 2K and I'll be back by 7 p.m. Now can I go?" What do you think Mike's mom's going to say? "Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Like, go hang out." Right? So this is the same kind of response that you want to have when you're talking to your customers as well. So next thing I want you guys to go ahead and write down is objections are a good thing. Objections are a good thing. When you handle an objection, it's not being pushy. It's not being like that salesy guy, right? It's just giving your customer the proper information that they need to make that educated decision. So objections are a good thing. A confused customer will never buy, so give them the information that they're wanting clarity on so they can make that definite yes or no decision on whatever you're asking them to buy. The most common concerns are the most common reason why someone gives you an objection is because it's either too much money or too many pieces. If it's too much money, call your office, call your local manager, see if you can work out a deal or a discount. If it's too many pieces, just drop down to that next set, right? Those are going to be the two most common concerns of customers, either too much money or too many pieces. So I'm actually want to teach you guys the 4-step process and how to put together an objection. And this, we call this the objection cycle. And you guys will be able to get anything you want from anyone you want at any time you want it. So I'm about to teach you a magical skill. This is not only a Cutco skill, this is also a life skill. So step number 1 in handling any objection is you're going to agree with the other person. Maybe it's completely understand how you feel, or I see where you're coming from. What this does is it lets your customer know that they're being heard and that they're being understood. Who's been in an argument with someone before and they're just like, that's so stupid. I can't believe you would ever think that. You're so dumb. You're so wrong. And you don't hear anything after what they say, right? You're just hung up that they just called you stupid and dumb and said that you were wrong. When you agree, it opens them up to suggestion, and now they listen to you because they feel heard. So you're going to agree with your customer. Key number 2, or step number 2, is you're going to put a transition word. So either a but, a how, or however, or that's why. Any transition phrase, really. It can be a 1-word or 2, 3, but you just want to connect ideas. So that's step number 2 is going to be that transition word. Step number 3 is going to be telling the truth or giving an alternate opinion. So this is where you get to share your point of view. So you get to give your customer the proper information, give that different opinion or give that different perspective. And it just helps your customer know that there are other options and helps them know all of the options. And then lastly, step number 4 is you're going to close or ask for the order. So it's either going to be, would you like to try that today? How does that sound? What do you think? Can you see my side, or can you see why I think what I thought, whatever it might be? And this gives your customer a chance to say yes or no in a comfortable environment, right? Who's ever been in the drop down process and you were like kind of too nervous to ask, but you like kind of asked and your customer didn't really know what to say and you're like, this is awkward, right? When you end it with that ask for the order, and when you end it with that close, it creates a comfortable environment for your customer. So once you get that answer, you know how to move forward. Either you high five, hug it out, write up the order, or you drop down to the next set, or you call your manager for a better deal or for a better discount. Best thing about that objection response, that objection cycle, every single one of our objections is set up in this format. This is in your guys' script. I just typed it out instead of it being vertical. So I just typed this out for you guys. So if your customer says it's too much money and they can't afford it, you're going to say, I completely understand, right? That's that step 1. That's the green. 1549 is a lot all at once. Transition, that's why. Next is you're going to tell the truth. Most of our customers split it up over 5 months interest-free. So it'll only be $337 per month. And then you're going to ask for the order. How does that sound? So every single one of our objections is in that format. So when you go through and read your objections, you're automatically doing this as well. You can also use this in the real world, right? So in the example of Mike asking his mom to go hang out with Tristan, he can say, Mom, I completely understand your concerns, but I'm going to be going home at this time. I'm hanging out with Tristan. We're playing 2K and I'll be back by 9:30. Now can I go? Right? It's the same format, just in a different situation. So that's how you handle any objection. So once again, objections are a good thing. Give your customers that proper information that they need to make an educated decision. And if you read your script, you'll do great. Next thing I want to go ahead and dive into is the dropping down process and the closing process. So I want you guys to write down the rule of 7. The rule of 7. The rule of 7. So the rule of 7, basically everyone has a number on the back of their head, 1 through 7, of how many times you need to ask them to say yes. Now, who knows someone who's a 1, who they see it, they like it, they buy it, they're that impulse buyer, that easy homemaker sale? Who's ever had that before? I definitely have. Who knows someone in their life that's like a hardcore 7, where you have to ask them everything and show them everything before they feel comfortable saying yes? Yeah, I know someone like that too. That's my mom. My mom's a hardcore 7. My first demo with my mom took 2.5 hours. She made me read every single page and show her every single slide of the presentation before she bought something. Now, my dad is a hardcore 1. I asked him for the homemaker set and he was like, yep, I'll take it. So no matter if your customer's a 1 or a 7, it's all about their comfort level. It's all about their comfort level. Now, my dad is comfortable saying yes at the first thing he sees. My mom, She is not, right? So when you're going through your demo and we're going through the presentation, it's not necessarily asking for the order every single time. It's more of finding what your customer's comfort level is and finding out what your customer would really use and get the most value out of. Now, my dad, he got the most value out of a homemaker set. Now, my mom, she got the most value out of a buy now bonus, and she bought one trimmer, right? That's what she got the most value out of. That's what my mom was comfortable buying. So your guys' job in the demo is to find your customer's comfort level. Now, I'm going to give an example of Miss Patty Conley. Miss Patty Conley was Sarah Conley's mom. I had student counsel with Sarah, and I did a presentation for her mom. And I get to the starter sets. I ask her for the order. I smile and nod. And she goes, Trey, I'm not going to buy anything. Stop asking me to buy. Why do you keep asking me to buy? I was just like, hey, I'm just reading my script. I'm just doing it for the practice. Is it okay if I continue on with the presentation? She goes, fine. She like crosses her arms. She's all upset. I get down to the pick 5 special, step number 4. And she picks out her 5 favorite knives. And she really likes the super shears, and she really likes the 4-pack of table knives. But I noticed that the 5 knives that she picked out were the same 5 knives that were in the essential set. So I said, hey, Mrs. Conley, you can actually get the essential set, get the 5 pieces you want, 5 table knives, and the super shears for free. Would you like to do that instead? And she's like, oh yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And what was funny is that the price didn't change, but the value changed because she was comfortable and she got what she wanted, right? So when you're going through this drop down process, make sure to drop down slowly and show them every single set and show them every single thing, and to go slow and ask for the order every time, because you'll never know what your customer's comfort level is. So what I found out about Miss Conley is that Miss Conley is a 4, right? We got to the pick 5, but she ended up getting a starter set, but she didn't feel comfortable at step number 3 and ask number 3, but she did feel comfortable at step number 4. So it's all about finding your customer's comfort level and asking for the order with confidence. So you want to show them everything, and ask for the order. And when you drop down slowly. Drop down slowly. You don't want to rush your customer, because you never know when they're going to hit that comfort level. It's also okay to drop up as well. If you get a really easy yes on the homemaker, show them the signature, show them the ultimate, talk about the Cutco kitchen, right? Ask them and show them everything. Some of your customers are going to be like, I would never use any of those pieces in the ultimate set, but I want it because it's the biggest and the best, right? You're going to run into customers like that. That's how I sold my first ultimate set, right? Because she just wanted the biggest and best of everything. So if you don't show it, you won't sell it. That's a big key. I want you guys to write that down. If you don't show it, you won't sell it. How's your customer going to buy an ultimate set if they didn't even know we have an ultimate set? Right? It doesn't add up. So make sure you drop down or drop up slowly and show everything. So with that being said, I want to talk about the closing percentage. So as managers, we don't care what you sell as long as you sell something, right? We don't care what you sell as long as you sell something. We care about closing percentage. How many times out of 10 are you going to get Cutco into your customer's hand? Right. So I have two reps here. Rep number 1 did 10 demos. He sold 2 homemaker plus 8 sales. He has a 20% close right now, but he sold 2 homemakers. Rep number 2 over here followed the drop down process, was dropping down slowly, finding his customers' comfort levels, sold a couple pick 5s, about a buy now bonus, had a no sale, some no sales in here, sold a homemaker, a gadget special, a studio, a no sale. So out of these 2 representatives, who do you think ended up selling more? Rep number 1 or rep number 2? Guys see some fingers? Rep number 1 or rep number 2? Yeah, rep number 2. I actually went down and I did the CPO numbers. So this is exact CPO. With 2 homemakers with free entertainer packs, comes up to 2406 CPO. Now with all of these added up with the buy now bonuses is 3557. And this was with a 60% close and only selling 1 homemaker set. Right? So dropping down and closing percentage is key. Once again, we don't care what you sell, as long as you sell something. That's what matters. So the 6 takeaways I have for us today is 1, go slow. Go slow. Walk your customer through every single thing and take your time. Take your time. You're not in a rush. This isn't a sprint. Show them everything. Right? Which leads into step number 2. Go slow and then show everything. If you don't show it, you're not going to sell it. Step number 3 is also stress the 5-pay. Stress the 5-pay option. Customers only look at the main price, but let them know that we have payment options, right? My mom eventually came back and bought a homemaker set from me after she used her trimmer for a little bit. She put it on a 5-pay. A lot of my customers put homemaker sets, buy now, the pick 3 specials. They put all of them on payment plans. All of them on payment plans. It helps close the deal, it helps seal the deal, and it's a lot better to do it in those bite-sized pieces for a lot of customers. So stress the 5-pay option. Number 4, ask for the order with confidence. Sell them a set or sell them something. Sell them a set or sell them something. We don't care what you sell as long as you sell them something. Key number 5 is objections are a good thing. Objections are a good thing. And handle your objections with confidence. And then lastly, key number 6 is read your script. If you read your script, you will not fail. If you read your script, you will not fail. Read that script word for word, bar for bar, verse for verse. But that is everything that I got for you guys. Let me know in the chat box what your biggest takeaway was. Go ahead and throw it in the chat box. What was your guys' biggest takeaway? And while you guys are putting your takeaways in the chat box, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Drew.
Let's give it up for Trey McCullough. Thank you, Trey. Excellent tips on dropping down. I love the tips on dropping up, focusing on the 5-pay, taking your time, asking those questions, and making sure your customer is getting the right deal. Excellent work, Trey. Let's take a little bit of we're gonna take a little bit of a break and turn this into kind of an extended break and phone jam. We're gonna break our phone jam into 2 parts, and this one's gonna be about 15 minutes. We're gonna do phase 1, and we're going to do a power 15 minutes of calls and see if we can do our best job to get at a minimum 1 demo, if not 2 or 3 demos lined up for each of us in our schedule. We're going to roll from that into Tristan Moyer's message on referrals. So we're going to have a 15-minute phone jam and break. So if you need to use the restroom and grab a snack during the same time, you can. Otherwise, let's just get ready to hit the phone for 15 minutes straight. Within 15 minutes, you'll probably get a couple people not to answer, but you'll probably get a couple people picking up the phone. And as long as Trey said, with dropping down, it's similar with the phone. Follow the manual, and handle those objections, and just follow your script. If Mrs. Jones says she's busy, hey, no problem, I'm really busy too. Can we find a different day that's a little bit less busy in your schedule? What day is better for you, this day or this day? So, all right, we're gonna take 15 minutes right now. It is 6:52 Mountain Time, so we're gonna go until let's say 7:10. We're going to go until 10 after 7 Mountain Time. So 17 minutes for a phone jam. And the goal is going to be to line up at least 1, if not 2 or 3 demos in our schedule ahead of us. And then we're going to roll into at 10 after 7, Tristan Moyer's message on referrals. So, all right, I want everyone to think about, if you're already starting, you can mute me and turn my volume down. You can start making your calls. If you haven't figured out who you're going to call yet, if you don't know that next person, just a bit of advice from years of having confidence, but also being a little bit nervous about phoning. When I went into my phone jam with a list of at least the next 10 people that I was going to call, and then eventually 20 and 50 and even getting up to 100, but starting off with, here are my next best 10 customers that I want to call. That always gave me excitement for every phone jam. I was less nervous to pick up the phone because I knew exactly who I wanted to target. So, pick a couple people from your list, think about who would be good to fit in your schedule this week and to book. And let's see what we can do in the next 15 minutes here. I'll turn my tunes on, or unless Trey, if you want to be my MC still, I'll let Trey get the music in the background. And again, 15-16 minutes. Let's see if we can get a couple demos lined up and call back a couple of those people that we were trying to schedule. It's low, check this out. And my volume's all the way up. Evening is from Mr. Tristan Moyers, and his objective is to teach you how to get more referrals. So Tristan's going to be going over some important foundational, tried and true principles that have worked for 75 years, that have made Cutco reps the best salespeople on the planet. And he's also going to teach us some new things that he's picked up and learned over the last few years, especially with our hybrid virtual and in-person programs that will help you get a ton of referrals, regardless if you are face-to-face at the kitchen table or if you are doing predominantly interactive virtual demos. So Tristan, nobody better to teach this skill than somebody who's been developing high-level reps on both the virtual and in-person program the last few years. So let's give it up for our district manager out of Northwest Denver, Mr. Tristan Moyers.
All right. Derek, you might need to turn your volume up. Go ahead and get started. I am excited to go over some things with you guys. We're gonna split this into two parts on this talk, and I'm not gonna take a ton of time because I want it to be really simple for you guys, and I don't want to overcomplicate anything. And I want to give you guys some tips that you can implement pretty easily into your demos as you guys are doing some this weekend, and really help you build on your referral bases over the next couple of days and as you go through the next couple of weeks as well. So the first thing that I want to show you guys, me and Drew, we've been mainly Drew has been working a ton on our new script and our new training manual, and it's super awesome. And what me and Drew did, we went through the referral approach and combined one of our old ones with the new one, and just made it simple for everyone to use. So I'm gonna start by showing you guys a couple pages here, and we'll have this sent out to you guys as a PDF, so you can, if you have a physical script that you're reading from, you can print this off, staple it into your old book, or you can always come by and grab a new book as well. But I want to show you guys the new script. I want to start there and just kind of go over a couple things. Then we're going to jump into the two different ways to kind of get referrals. So whether you're doing it on pen and paper, the old-fashioned way, or you're doing it with the new app and getting referrals through that, or doing a little bit of both. I want to show you guys how to master those, and then we're going to go through, I'm going to give you guys 10 keys on just getting more referrals and some of the things you can implement into your demos, and also just implement into your yourself as well, and be able to use as a part of your confidence. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I want to show you guys this new script. Like I said, you'll get a PDF copy of this after the division meeting tonight, and have the ability to start using this. Not much has changed. I just want to kind of talk about the step one portion here, and go through a couple things. So you'll see the first 6 bullet points, pretty much the same as what we used to say, and I'll go through everything here in a second. And then we've got 2 bullet points right in the middle. So if you're doing a live in-person demo and you want to get referrals on pen and paper, you're going to use these lines to make it really easy. I'm going to give you guys some tips on how to do that here in a second. If you're not in person, or you want to use the virtual app and have the ability for your customer to submit referrals through there, you'll jump into the last 5 bullet points here and use those as you go through them. Okay. And Amy just posted a link that has the full manual in there as well that you guys can use too. So let's go through the script real quick. I'm going to read it out loud to you guys just so you can kind of see how it flows with the new portion of it, and we'll go through both ends here. So Mrs. Jones, how'd you like my demo? It's always going to start off like that. She's always going to say it's great. Okay. And I'm going to say, great, go ahead, pull out your cell phone, because there's one more very important part. Here's where you can really help me out. I get paid every time I show Cutco, but I can only show it to people I've been personally recommended to. So what I need you to do while I wrap up is to think of 15 people who might be nice enough to help me out. I'm not looking for people you think would buy, just nice people like you willing to take a look. Okay. Now, either way, whether you're having her, write things down, or you're going to have her go into the app, we want them to get their cell phone out, because they're going to use the app if they are using if we're going to do that part. If they're not using the app, we want Mrs. Jones to scroll through her contacts and get some thought jogger. She doesn't have everyone just memorized and she's going to forget people. We want her to, thought jog for herself. And she's going to realize she wasn't thinking about a lot of people. So we want her to have her cell phone out either way. If we're in live, we then say, all right, Mrs. Jones, here's a pen, here's some paper, put down as many as you can. All right. And then we're going to smile, hand her the notebook, and we're going to walk over to the sink and we're going to clean our knives. Okay. So if you're doing your in-person appointments, you're going to take all of your knives to the sink and you're going to wash your knives until she's done. Okay. I don't care if you wash the trimmer 5 times, you're going to wash them until she's done. Okay. You're never going to cut her short. It's going to be one of my tips here in a little bit. All right. So you're just going to walk away. You're going to go clean and then she'll let you know when she's done. She's going to say, okay, Tristan, I think that's all I can do. And you're going to walk back over and you're going to say, awesome, Mrs. Jones, thank you for those 5 referrals. Is there any way you can think of any more? Right. And we're going to get to that part here in a second too. But you're going to say, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay. So that's the live in person. I'm going to, here in a second, I'm going to show you guys how to set that notebook up, what you want it to look like, and really get the most out of it. Okay. Now let's say you want to use the app. Whether you are in person or virtual, you can use the app. And I think, there's benefits to both. I think the big benefit of the app is it makes it a lot easier for Mrs. Jones just to say, all right, here's 100 contacts, right? And it's going to take her a little while to write 100 contacts down on pen and paper. I've had people do it before. They will do it, okay? But it's definitely a lot easier for them just to do it on the app. So if we're using the app, we say, all right, Mrs. Jones, you remember my Cutco Rep app that we downloaded earlier? Awesome. Well, go ahead, grab that out and answer the third question. It gives me good feedback on my demo. After that, it'll allow you to share some contacts as referrals. The contacts you introduced me to are only saved in my portal, so they aren't seen or used by anyone else. On the bottom of your screen, it says share and then okay to share contacts. All right. And she's gonna click that and it's gonna pop up with her contacts. I'm gonna show you guys that here in a second too. I'm trying to keep a full schedule, so please check as many names and boxes as you can. It really helps me out. Once you've checked everyone you can think of, you can let me know how many it says, can you let me know how many it says in the blue box? Awesome. You put 10 in. Okay, great, Mrs. Jones. Go ahead, then click share one last time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right. And then we have our sponsorship down here on that last bullet point. By the way, you can help me build my sample kit. If you give me 5 recommendations, you become a sponsor. If you give me 10, you're a double sponsor. Once I have 50 sponsors, I get a free piece of Cutco from a manager. Any chance you could add a few more. All right. So if they don't get to that 10 mark, you can always throw that out there to help you get to that next point. Okay. So that's our new script. Nothing too new. It's just kind of divides it up and makes it a little bit easier to go through everything. All right. And if you're using the interactive demo, and many of you guys are when you do your virtual appointments, when you're doing that, you could still use this script right here. You don't have to use the referral script in the interactive demo. I personally like this one a little bit better now. So I would have this pulled up with your demo and definitely jump over to this when you're ready to ask for recommendations. Okay. So let's, I'm going to show you guys a couple things. I'm just organizing and then we're going to run through our tips and keys on getting some more referrals. So the first thing that I want to show you guys is how to use the app from the customer side. Okay. Some of you guys have seen it be used before. Some of you guys have maybe even downloaded it yourself and run through it. I would suggest doing it one time, downloading the app, checking it out, seeing how everything works. That way, if Mrs. Jones has any problems with it, you know how to fix them pretty easily. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what to do or what your customer is going to do when they're using the app. That way we can go over a couple of the tips there too. So let me share my screen with you guys here. Maybe what's going on. Let me stop that share and try this again. There we go. All right, cool. So the first thing that has to happen, so Mrs. Jones is going to download the My Cutco Rep from the App Store. Okay, we all have that. It's in the first part of our scripts. We have Mrs. Jones download it, and when she downloads it, this is what it's going to pop up as when she gets into it. Okay, so the first thing it's going to do is ask for that rep number. All of you guys should know your rep number. It's that 8-digit number. You use it to sign into a lot of different things. So just make sure you guys have that to give to Mrs. Jones pretty easily. When you're doing the interactive demo, it does just pop up on your screen, so you don't even have to think about it. But if you're doing your in-person demos, you want to make sure you have these numbers that she's going to need to download the app, make it smooth and confident as well, right? So she goes in, she types in the number, and then she's going to type in the meeting number. Okay, now for you guys to get the meeting number, again, if you're doing an interactive demo, it's just going to pop up on the screen for you to do. If you're doing an in-person demo, you do have to go to your contact's name in your end of the app to get that number. So let's say I'm doing a demo with Abby here. I'm going to scroll down and just kidding, I haven't booked a demo with Abby. Let's go to someone I've already booked a demo with. Let's go, here we go, Addie. So Addie's got a meeting code because she's been scheduled before, right? So 6484, that's Addie's meeting code that she's going to use. And what that number does is it just connects the referrals when they submit them, okay? So then when it pops up on my end, it's gonna say this person was referred by Addie. So that's what that 4-digit number does. That way it all connects and you know who the who referred that person, okay? So we're gonna hit continue. At the beginning of the demo, we have them answer those first 2 questions. Was Tristan on time? Hopefully you guys are always on time and probably 10 minutes early. Was Tristan professional and courteous while scheduling this appointment? Yep, absolutely. All right. And then obviously they don't know anything about my product knowledge yet because I just started the appointment. Okay. So you're gonna say, all right, Mrs. Jones, throw your phone to the side. Let's go ahead and dive in. Let's get started. Okay. And that's where you're going to transition into the demo. All right. Now, when we get back to the referral script, we have them answer that 3rd question. So the 3rd question here is going to be, please rate Tristan's product knowledge. And they're going to go in and they're going to say, I'm an 8. Awesome. And then it is going to ask for a little bit of feedback. So they are, more than welcome to type in some of their own stuff here and talk about some of the skills. Myself, Amy, Trey, we can all see those on our end. So if you guys ever want to know, hey, what did my uncle say about me? You can ask us and we can go in and find that for you. So they're going to put something in, and then if they're purchasing Cutco or they're not, it's gonna finish up with that, and it's gonna say, hey, what's the main reason you're getting Cutco today? Awesome, you just love the product, great. Or what was the reason you're not getting it? And maybe it was out of the price range or whatever the budget looked like, something like that. Okay, so they're going to hit submit feedback. And that's when it's going to show them your bio. So if you don't have a good picture of yourself in your profile, make sure you have one because this is where it pops up. You don't want to look too weird in front of Mrs. Jones. So it's going to give them a little bio of you. And this is where in the script, you're going to tell them to click share. So Mrs. Jones clicks share. I've already shared my contacts, but it would ask them again there to share their contacts. Okay. And then Mrs. Jones is going to go through and she's going to check off everyone that she wants to refer. All right. And she can go through and check off everybody if she wants to and just say, hey, Mrs. Jones, anyone who's over 30 years old, check them off. Let's have some fun with this. All right. And then she's going to click share 16 contacts. It's going to ask her again to do that. And she's going to click yes. And boom, that's what she's done. Now, from there, it does allow them to introduce anybody that they recommended. And that would be step 2 in the referral process. We're not going to dive too much into that right now. But that is how we use the app. So if you guys have any other questions on that, feel free to throw some in the chat box if you did, but hopefully that cleared a few things up for some of you guys that are using the app a little bit in your appointments there. Okay, now the last thing here I want to talk about, and then I'll jump into my tips real quick, is what if you're using pen and paper, and what are you doing there? And I think it's always important to have both options available because you are going to come across your customers every once in a while to say, Tristan, I think that the government is spying on us and I don't want to download any apps. You're going to come across those customers, okay? Or they might just not have the type of phone that can download the app. That's okay too. So what do we want? We want a backup plan, okay? We don't want to just, go out and say, okay, cool, no referrals, talk to you later. All right, we want to still have that option, okay? So if you guys have it, we don't have enough time for you to get up and go get one. But if you have an empty notebook sitting around, you guys, I'd like you to grab one. That way, as I go through this, maybe you can start filling it out and putting that in. If you don't have one, just take some really good notes here, and then you can make one when we get done with the call. And I'll be sending some pictures of this as well. And I got a couple pictures of mics that I'm going to be showing because this is really good. But I'm just going to walk you guys through just a couple steps here. So I carry around a notebook with me. I have about probably 15 of these, maybe 10 of these just sitting in my apartment in this little box. And it has all of my referrals that I've ever gotten, as I was doing this job as a sales rep in the beginning. I have tons of these things. And this is the only way we used to get referrals. And it's still very, very effective. So I call it the scholarship notebook. It's literally just a notebook. You can grab your old, AP history notebook, cross it out, and just put scholarship notebook at the top. And this is what you're going to show to Mrs. Jones. Mike calls it his nice people book. I think that's great too, especially if you're not in school and you're going after a scholarship. Wouldn't really make any sense to call it your scholarship notebook, right? But I always called it my scholarship notebook because this is what was going to get me to my scholarships while I was in college. Mike calls it the nice people book. I think that's really good too because it's just a bunch of nice people in one book, okay? You can call it whatever you want, but just have having the name to it is gonna, you know, show Mrs. Jones, hey, this is important. Okay, this is an important book here, and I carry this thing around like it's like the, you know, Declaration of Independence. All right, no one's taking this from me. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how I set mine up. The very first page of my notebook is my sponsorship page. Okay, so the very first page of my notebook is my sponsorship page. So I hopefully you guys can see this, and if you can't, maybe make me bigger on your guys' screen. I'm gonna, there we go. Okay, cool. So at the top it just says sponsorship. Okay, and then it's numbered 1 to 25. And then, or well, 1 to 25, and then 26 to 50. Okay. And once you guys fill those up and you've got 50 sponsors, that's when your manager is going to give you that free piece of Cutco. Here's what I tell my customers. I say, hey, once I get that 50 and I get that Cutco, I'm just going to throw everybody's name in a hat that is on here. And whoever I pull out is going to get the free piece of Cutco. And you can have whatever knife you want, Mrs. Jones. Okay. So if she gives you 10 referrals and she becomes a double sponsor, her name goes in that hat twice. All right. So I always like to throw that in because it gives them something a little bit more than just like, what's in it for me? Why do I want to become a sponsor? Okay, you want to become a sponsor because you get more Cutco, Mrs. Jones. All right. So that's the first page. Okay. Now the important part is the actual referrals and the part for your customer. Okay. So every customer gets 2 pages. All right. So you have the first page, which is their wish list. Okay. So on the left of your notebook at the top, you're going to call that your wish list. Okay. And no matter what type of demos you're doing, I always have this notebook out with me and I'm always taking notes about their wish list. Okay. I can go back to the very first appointment that I did with my girlfriend's grandma and I can look at her wish list and say, all right, this is what she was interested in when she, when I did that demo. And that was 4 years ago. Okay. She bought a couple of those pieces, but there's still probably some stuff on there that she hasn't gotten yet. I can say, hey, you were interested in this. You want to get it today? All right, cool. So you can go back and you can look at what your customers liked. Okay. So we've got wish list, and then you're going to put their customer's name either at the top of this page or the top of this one. Either's fine. Both is great too, in case one gets torn out on accident or something like that. Okay. Now on the left or the right side, this is where you're going to keep your referrals. Okay. And this is how you're going to have it set up. I wrote it in pencil, probably should have wrote it in pen so you guys could see it a little bit better. But it's okay. So at the top, you're going to have 4 things that are important to know about your customer. Okay. The first one is their name, because you got to know their name. Okay. The second one is their phone number. So you're going to go name, phone number. City, in my opinion, is the third thing. Your manager might have some other stuff that they want you to put in here. City is really important because then it lets you know, okay, there, if I live in Lakewood and I get someone who's in Arvada, I can do an in-person appointment. But if they live up in Cheyenne, I'm probably doing a virtual appointment. Okay. So I'll let you know right off the bat what type of appointment you're trying to book with them when you give them a call as the city. Okay. And then the last one in here, it says yes on mine. Okay. And what the yes means is that Mrs. Jones reached out to that customer and they're like, yep, call me. Yeah, definitely do a demo with me. Okay. And that lets me know, okay, if I get like 2 or 3 yeses, I'm calling those people first. All right. If Mrs. Jones texts me later that night, she's like, hey, my best friend said she's super excited for you to call. I'm checking a yes off there and I'm calling that lady first on my next phone jam. Okay. Because she's already excited to book a demo with me. That's how I keep track of that. Okay. So we've got name, phone number, city, and then the yes. Okay. If they say they want to do a demo before you even call them to your customer. Okay. Then on the left-hand side, you're going to number 1 to 10. You go 15 if you want, but absolutely 1 to 10. And then you're going to star 5 and you're going to star 10. All right. Here's what happens if you don't number it 1 to 10. They write 3 referrals down and they say they're done. Or they like write it all over the page and it's not organized and it's really annoying. Okay. But if you go 1 through 10, that gives them the expectation of, okay, I got to get to 10. All right. And what happens is as you start to load this notebook up, one thing that I love to do, and Mike does this all the time, is in my appointments, I'll grab my notebook out and I'll say, okay, Mrs. Jones, let's find you an empty page in here. All right. And I'm like 10 pages deep and like she's seen like 10 referrals on every page that I've gone through. And now she's like, well, everybody gives Tristan 10 referrals. All right. So it's just helping with that. And people are like, all right, well, if Mrs. Jones did it, I'll do it too. Okay. So that's your scholarship notebook. If you have any other questions on that, let me know. Mike has a really good one. I'll have him send some pictures out later as well. I'm running out of time here. So let's go through some tips real quick and then we'll leave it from there. So 10 keys, and I might combine a couple of these, but 10 keys to getting some more referrals. So number 1, know your approach. Okay, know your script, have it memorized, know exactly what you're saying, because then you're going to be more confident. You're going to be able to explain the process to your customer if they have questions. You're going to, you want to ask for a specific number of referrals. All right. You want to know everything that you're looking for. Okay. And you never want to settle for less than 3. All right. So that's knowing your approach and just having that confidence in what you're asking for. Okay. So that's number 1. Number 2, have confidence in your approach. Okay. So we want to know the approach, and then we want to have confidence in the approach. Okay. And what confidence in the approach is going to do is if you're confident, Mrs. Jones is going to be confident too. Okay. If you feel more confident with her writing things down on pen and paper, and that's how you want to ask, do that. If you feel confident in the app and you feel comfortable there, use the app. Whichever feels more comfortable, do that, because you're going to get more referrals when you're comfortable and you're confident, because it's going to, make your customer confident and comfortable too. Okay. Number 3, this is a pretty easy one. Hopefully everybody does this, but always ask. Okay. No matter the outcome of the appointment, always ask for referrals. All right. It does not matter. Okay. Your customers that don't buy anything are going to give you the best referrals. All right. And they're going to give you a lot of them too. Okay. Number 4, always let the customer write or input, stuff into the app as long as possible. Touched on that a little bit earlier. Always let them go as long as they can or they want to. Never cut them off. All right. Even if you're 10 minutes late to your next demo, but Mrs. Jones on like referral 35, just let her keep going. All right. I promise those referrals are more important than you doing your next one. We can always reschedule that. Okay. So never cut her off. Always let her keep going. That's number 4. Number 5, more rapport equals more referrals. More rapport equals more referrals. Okay. Friends help friends out. All right. More trust means less objections as well. All right. So the more rapport you build, the more referrals you're going to get. Number 6, jog the customer's mind. Okay. Jog the customer's mind as they're going through. Throw some things out there. Hey, what about so-and-so? Who do you know that does a lot of cooking? Who do you know that hosts events, Mrs. Jones? Jog her mind. If she gets done with the book and she hands it to you and there's 3 in there, hey, thank you so much, Mrs. Jones. Who do you know that, who's the best cook you know, Mrs. Jones? Oh, it's Cindy. Okay, cool. Could you throw Cindy on there? I'd love to chat with her. All right. Jog her mind and get her to add a couple more on there as you're going through. Okay. That's number 6. Number 7, understand your customers' concerns. Okay. What's going to happen to the names when they give them to you? All right. If they're in the app, what happens to them? You guys, it just goes straight to you. Okay. If you're writing them on paper, it's just your notebook. No one else has seen this notebook. Okay. What will their friends think? Their friends are going to love Cutco. Okay. They're always like, I don't know what my friend's going to think. She's going to think Cutco's awesome, Mrs. Jones. Why would she think anything else? Right. And they might say, hey, I can't think of anyone who's interested in buying. No worries, Mrs. Jones. I'm just showing Cutco, okay? No one's got to buy it from me. I didn't know you were going to buy anything either, Mrs. Jones, but I called you anyways, and now you got Cutco, right? So be ready to handle their concerns, but also know what some of their concerns are going to be, as they come up, okay? And then along with that, number 8 is be ready to handle their objections. So as soon as you say, "Hi, Mrs. Jones, go ahead and write some referrals down," or click the boxes, they're going to give you an objection. Just be ready for it. Like, it's happening. Okay. Like, you're not avoiding it. All right. They're going to say something. Just be ready, scroll down, or, look down on the page where your objections are and just be ready. Okay. Number 9, reward your customers for giving you referrals. All right. You can use leftover bonus points that you have from their order to give customers an incentive on more referrals, right? If they only got one thing for free, maybe you could throw in a peeler or something if they give you 10 referrals. All right. So you can use some of those leftover bonus points and percentage to give them some incentive on giving you referrals. All right. And number 10, kind of goes back to number 1, but just study and remember your approach. Okay. Have it locked down and just know what you're saying, because it's going to come across that you're prepared. It's going to come across that you're confident. It's going to make them feel a lot more comfortable as well. And then along with that, always expect them to hit your goal. Okay. If you're asking for 10 referrals, just expect that they're giving you 10 referrals. Like, it's not even a question of it happening, because when you have that confidence, they'll be like, oh, Tristan must get 10 referrals in every appointment. Yeah, I do, Mrs. Jones. Here you go. Go ahead and do it. All right. And I say it in a nice way, and I smile while I say it, so it comes off nicer. But just having that confidence and everything too. All right, guys. Those are my 10 keys for you guys. If you have any other questions on it, feel free to let me know. But hopefully a couple of things to help you guys going forward.
Let's give Tristan Moyers a big round of applause. Thank you, Tristan. Excellent stuff. Well, I am going to use that message as our cap and our end of the meeting. I'm going to tie a bow on it because I think the quality of content that we had, I wanted to stand alone. There's nothing that I can say that we need to make this meeting a worthwhile event. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Tristan, for your content and your teaching and your wisdom tonight. Thank you, everybody, for being on time and focused and taking a lot of notes. It really means a lot to me and your district managers. Looking forward to this April and building. Looking forward to this summer being the best summer that we've ever experienced in Rocky Mountain. We're going after our 25th Silver Cup, so need everybody's help, and we're making our push back towards #1. Thank you again for being here. Have a great night, and if you're driving, drive safe. See ya.